My name is Caroline Lucas and I'll be chairing this morning's debate. And the issue in front of us is essentially about citizens or subjects. Can legally protected rights guarantee our freedoms?
What's the biggest threat to our rights and freedoms in Britain? It's not terrorists, it's not the delinquent youth at a street corner, it is actually our system of government. Why? Because it is that system of government which allows those rights and freedoms to be taken away.
From time to time, our focus turns back to the UK and what is happening to human rights here at home. And we only do that when we are very concerned, very worried about the situation here in the UK.
Binyam was captured by the Pakistani authorities in early 2002. He was kept in a prison in Pakistan and beaten up, hung from a leather strap like this, strapado it was called by the Spanish Inquisition. It's always fun looking at what the Spanish Inquisition called things that are currently being done. And he was generally beaten a reasonable amount before he was visited by British and American intelligence. So they went out there to Pakistan, and the US guys also went out to Pakistan. There was a joint interview. Binyam was asked a bunch of questions. At one point, Binyam asked for a cup of tea and with one sugar in. And the American guy said in front of the English guy, "You're going to need more sugar in your tea where you are going." This was in May of 2002. In July of 2002, Binyam vanished, to all intents and purposes, from the prison in Pakistan. And the British knew that he was under American control, and they asked the US where he was, and the US did not tell the British people. Then on September the 30th, there was a meeting in Thames House in London, again between the CIA and MI5, and MI5 asked again, where is Binyam? He's our guy, we'd like to know where he is. Again, the CIA says no. You might think that a fuss would be kicked up at this point, but no. In November, 2 telegrams were sent from MI5 to the CIA with a bunch of questions to be put to Binyam wherever he might be. And actually, where he was in Morocco, where his genitals were being slashed with razor blades whilst questions were being put to him as sent by our government. And Binyam actually said that the questions perfectly clearly had come from the British because they referred to British situations, and that was the point in all of his torture where he felt at his lowest, because the people that he had been hoping were going to come and rescue him had quite clearly abandoned him.
What made summary extradition and identity cards and excessive stop and search powers and, yes, incarceration without charge or trial and ultimately the horrors of extraordinary rendition in freedom's name, what made all of that politically and legally in some cases possible was the argument that this is not our people, this is not people like us. When we poll the British public, as opposed to just our own members and those who naturally agree with us, we find that on issues of privacy, for example, an overwhelming majority of voters now know that identity cards are a nonsense, now feel that their privacy matters and has been far too much eroded in recent years. Further, when people are polled, not just in Britain, but all over the world, about wider fundamental rights and freedoms, the importance of an absolute prohibition on torture, the importance of free speech, fair trials, freedom of thought, conscience and religion, overwhelming majorities the world over, and certainly incredibly strong majorities in Britain, actually share those values.
Defending human rights and standing up for civil liberties is absolutely central to the work that Green politicians do in the European Parliament. Right across the EU, what we're seeing is, in the name of the so-called war on terror, our civil liberties are being eroded, human rights all across the board are being severely undermined. That's what makes it more important than ever, I think, that this issue gets the kind of emphasis that it deserves, and that's why it's so important that we're able to work with organisations like Amnesty International, like Reprieve, because together I think we can put real pressure on governments across the EU and make sure that they do uphold existing obligations under the Human Rights Act, under international law, to make sure that the human rights of asylum seekers, of refugees, of all people are upheld right across the EU.